Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everyone. Je vais déclarer la séance du Conseil ouverte. Merci.
Good evening, everyone. The City Council meeting is open. Mr. Clerk, toutes les séances publiques du Conseil municipal de Moncton sont diffusées en direct. Les membres du public ont le droit de s'adresser au Conseil municipal dans la langue de leur choix. C'est diffusé dans les deux langues officielles sur le canal de la ville à moncton.ca et aussi à 21h ce soir sur rogerstv.com. Les personnes qui se sont enregistrées auprès du bureau de la greffière auront 5 minutes pour faire leur exposé. Nous leur donnerons le délai dont ils bénéficieront pour faire leur exposé. Les commentaires insultants attribués aux membres du public ou aux membres du conseil ne seront pas tolérés. Tout manquement à ces règlements pourront se solder par l'exclusion de la personne. All public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated, and hearing assistance devices are available at the entrance to council chambers. Members of the public have the right to address City Council in the official language of their choice. Meetings are broadcast live in both official languages on the City of Moncton's YouTube channel, accessible via moncton.ca, and will also be aired at 9 p.m. this evening on rogerstv.com. Individuals who have registered with the city clerk's office at least 7 days prior to the meeting agenda deadline will be allocated 5 minutes to deliver their presentation. All other public presenters will be allotted 2 minutes. At 1 minute, warning will be provided to indicate the time remaining. All presenters, city staff, and council members are expected to conduct themselves respectfully at all times. Discouraging remarks, offensive language, or profane expressions directed to council staff or members of the public will not be permitted. Any breach of this code of conduct may result in the presenter being directed to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Are there any changes to be made to the agenda? Yes.
Appoint me as interim city clerk for this evening in the absence of our regular city clerk and deputy clerk. That resolution has been circulated to council, so I won't read it, but we will require a mover and a seconder, and this will be just a vote by show of hands.
So Conseiller Richard and Conseiller Steves moved and seconded.
Consider Richard and Consider Steves.
Show of hands for the vote. Donc, tout le monde est d'accord? C'est beau. Merci. Thank
So
you.
everyone agrees? Thank you.
This evening, and I hope you're good at pushing buttons because I'm not.
I'll try my best. Merci.
Merci. Go ahead, Monsieur le Greffier.
Okay. So there are there any conflicts of interest to declare this evening? Est-ce qu'il y a des déclarations de conflit d'intérêt?
Are there any conflicts of interest to declare?
Hasn't been moved yet. And seconded. So, Conseiller Léger, Conseiller Leblanc, moved and seconded. We
Councillor Léger, Councillor Leblanc.
My apologies.
It's okay, Nick.
Okay, now we can move to the conflict of interest. Is there any conflict of interest declarations? Est-ce qu'il y a des déclarations de conflit d'intérêt?
Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared? Being none.
The adoption of minutes, and there are no minutes to be adopted this evening.
Oh, merci. And I believe that
Excellent, thank you.
Correct. Cal Maskery was not available this
C'est
evening,
beau.
so there is not.
Merci, merci, Monsieur le Greffier. Donc,
So the first item,
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
the administrative presentations, les exposés de l'administration, and the first one is on the Heritage Week program.
Administration presentations.
We didn't have anybody register, no. No, no.
As Chair of the Heritage Conservation Board, I would like to take the opportunity to warmly invite you all to join the celebration of our 6th annual Heritage Week. Je tiens également à exprimer mes sincères remerciements au personnel.
I would also like to thank the Resorgo staff and the DMCI staff who've been working relentlessly with the Heritage Committee to organize this event that greatly contributes to its success. Today, I wanted to come to the mic for that reason.
And Heritage Conservation Officer Jean-Pierre Char for the important work he does every day to preserve and protect our city's heritage, and that with the precious support of you all, Madame la Mairesse and you councillors. Sur ce, il me fait maintenant grand plaisir d'inviter.
I am now delighted to invite Sophie Offray to come to the mic to start to proceed with the official launch of the 2025 Heritage Week. Good evening, Sophie. Good evening.
So I'm here to present what we have in store for this year's program. Heritage Week, there will be something happening every day from October 14th to the 18th. So things will kick off with our culture and heritage scavenger hunt. It's a fun, family-friendly way to discover the cultural and historic landscapes of Moncton. There's a chance to win prizes. And this year, in celebration of the 150th anniversary of the firefighters, the Moncton firefighters, we will be focusing on historic moments and locations related to that. Then on the evening of Wednesday, October 15th at the Aberdeen Cultural Centre, we'll be hosting the annual Heritage Awards ceremony. This is in partnership with the Downtown Moncton Centre-Ville. And we will be presenting awards for 4 different categories as listed here, as well as in the brochures. There's some available at the entrance, as well as online on moncton.ca. We will also be handing out 3 heritage plaques for locations, as you can see here. So the Rand House on Botsford Street, as well as the former number 2 fire station on St. George, and the former Moncton and Regional Public Library on Highfield Street. Then on Thursday, this year, we'll be doing a call out to the community for historic photos. We want folks to go digging in their attics. We want them to look through old memory shoeboxes. We want to see historic photos of Moncton. And you might be surprised, but the photo of your great aunt in front of her house in Moncton might actually be really helpful for us to do some research, because we want to see the character-defining elements of that house. We want to see streetscapes in Moncton, old businesses that would have existed and might not be there today. Sometimes there's a photo of a certain building, but then in the corner you see another building that doesn't exist today, and it helps us, those images really help us with historic research. So they can be submitted at any time, but we'll be doing a social media campaign on that Thursday. And then on Friday, alors ça c'est une nouvelle collaboration.
So this is a new cooperative project with the Acadian Museum of the University of Moncton. It is a guided tour of the built heritage of the University of Moncton campus. This will be held on Friday, October 17th. It will start from the Acadian Museum. There will be a guided tour at 10:30 in French and at 1 p.m. in English. It's about for 90 minutes and it's outside. Alors,
2 historic guided walking tours on Friday, October 17th. Ensuite, l'événement clôture de la semaine, our grand
Then we'll have the closing event.
October 18th. It's from 10 to 4. Alors, le samedi 18 octobre de 10 à 4.
So Saturday, October 18th, from 10 to 4.
So much. We have returning and new enthusiasts this year to offer interesting information on 3 pre-selected locations. And this year's locations, we have the Bayani block on Main Street. I'm very curious to see what they have done with this building inside. We also have our jewel, the Thomas Williams House, which has gone through a significant restoration and conservation project this summer. It was closed to the public, but it's very popular for its tea room as well as holiday tea events. So we're really excited to have it as part of Doors Open. There's a lot of folks that have yet to have the chance to step into this beautiful house from the Victorian era. And we also have 232 Botsford Street. It's known as the Botsford Station, not to be confused with the Botsford Fire Station, which is right in front of it. This is more known as the Botsford Station because it's a place to gather for local small businesses and community projects. And it's 3 stories that have been rehabilitated for retail, communal workspace, offices, as well as a rooftop project that I'm sure folks will be curious to learn more about. So there we have it. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup, Sophie. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions?
Thank you very much, Sophie. Are there any questions from city councilors? I cannot see everyone, so Councillor Kingston, you have the floor. Thank you, Your Worship.
Show up in the morning after 9 with our photos.
Oh,
I'm looking at
it's
times.
more online. You can get in touch via email. The information's on
Okay.
the website. But we will be there that day at the museum. So if someone wants to show up and has information on the specific photos, we'd be curious to see them for sure.
No,
Yeah.
I'd like to bring some. Mom was born on Victoria Street in 1922, and she's got lots of albums home with lots of older shots. So I will go through them before Thursday. Merci, Sophie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Madame Adès. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the wonderful work that you do. Really, it's very much appreciated. Merci, Jean-Pierre and Linda. Merci à vous. Monsieur le
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre and Linda. Mr. Clerk, thank you.
On Fire Prevention Week by our Fire Chief, Conrad Landry.
Bonjour, bonsoir.
So, good afternoon, Your Worship.
Good evening or good afternoon.
Fire Prevention Week, that's this week, started October 5th to the 11th. So Saturday, we had our regular open house. We had over 1,000 people show up at our Station 5 on Hildegard. Believe it or not, 720 hot dogs we ran out and 750 hats for the kids. So it was really successful. It was a gorgeous day. This year, the theme for fire prevention is lithium-ion batteries. And so those are the batteries. Basically, if you can recharge it, it's probably lithium-ion batteries. It's in your phones. It's power tools, laptops, e-bikes or e-scooters. So we really want to focus. We've got 4 messages for the rechargeable battery. So one, we want to make sure that the citizens only use approved chargers when they recharge batteries. Always use a hard surface when you charge it. Don't put it on in your bed or on a pillow or on a sofa. It's got to be on a hard, flat surface to prevent fires, obviously. And I know it's hard, but don't overcharge it. I know you can't put an alarm at 3 o'clock when it's fully charged, but your phones, once they're fully charged, we should unplug them. And the last one is those batteries, any rechargeable batteries we need to recycle. Can't just put it in the garbage because they store some heat, so we don't want to cause fires. So this week, we're really going to focus on lithium-ion batteries. And today, or this afternoon, we have our newest employee, Division Chief Roy Nolan, that you folks had approved to hire a few months ago. He's about a month in his job. He had 31 years with the St. John Fire and 26 of them as in the Fire Prevention Office and he's retired from St. John Fire. And I'm going to ask Mr. Nolan to go over a little bit of the activities that we're having this week for Fire Prevention Week, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about our 150th anniversary. Mr. Nolan.
Thanks, Chief Landry. So it was a great day, very successful on Saturday. We'd like to see all the people out. And as far as Fire Prevention Week goes, the theme is charge into fire safety, lithium-ion batteries in your home. And as Chief Landry said, there are many batteries in your home. They say the average is about 105 per home, which is a lot. So we're going to be out in all the various hardware stores and anywhere that sells any sort of smoke alarm, fire extinguisher. So the list is as follows. This morning we were in Home Depot and Canadian Tire. This afternoon we were in Rona and Walmart. Tomorrow morning we'll be in Walmart, and we're having a spot at the Skills Canada thing at the Coliseum. In the afternoon tomorrow we'll be at Home Depot and Canadian Tire. And then on Wednesday morning, we'll be in Kent and Costco. Wednesday afternoon, Rona and Walmart. Thursday morning, it'll be Canadian Tire and Home Depot. And Thursday afternoon, Costco and Home Depot. And then Friday, we have Home Hardware, Canadian Tire in the morning, Home Depot, Walmart in the afternoon. And then Friday night, we're going to finish up with an information table at the Wildcats game. So we hope that all friends and neighbors and family come out, ask us some information at these tables that we're setting up. It was a great experience this morning at Home Depot. A lady came along and looked at the fire escape ladder, and we explained how it works, and she decided to buy one to make sure that her grandchildren were safe. So that's the type of message we're hoping to get out.
Thank you so much. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Are there questions?
Are there any questions? Councillor Leja. Thank you, Your Worship.
Discussing rechargeable batteries in the e-scooters, and number of people have them. Saw one recently in somebody's apartment, and it was plugged in. And anyway, just in terms of the danger with that, the possibility of fire and so on.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Leger. So yeah, it's all batteries, first of all. So I guess that one of the biggest messages, batteries, period. Doesn't matter if they're rechargeable or not. We shouldn't throw out in the regular garbage. There's a special recyclable. You can have the boxes or go to a recycle place to make sure that we dispose them properly. But the rechargeable ones are extremely important because they do store a lot of energy. So we wanted to make sure that people exchange them or recycle them properly. So that's mostly what we're focusing on. Yeah.
Okay, so great initiative, thank you, and welcome to Moncton, Mr. Nolan. Thank you. Merci.
Merci. I see no other questions.
Your Worship, if I may, as of last Friday, but starts officially tomorrow, we're celebrating our 150th anniversary of the Moncton Fire Department this year. So for the next 2 months, all October and November, there's a special display, as was mentioned previously, on the fire department's history at Resurgo Place. So very excited to be part of that. And so all October and November, our official date, it's going to be 150 years on November 9th. So that's our official date. But for 2 months, we're encouraging as many people to go at Resurgo and explore the history, the artifacts of our fire department. So welcome to everybody.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you to both of all. Conseiller Butler, go ahead.
Councillor Butler, you have the floor.
My thanks to your staff. On Saturday, I was up there. I didn't have no hot dog, and I didn't get a cap. So I didn't get anything this year. But your staff was really excellent. Yourself too. I seen you handing out the hats. I don't know. I think I did see you close to the hot dog stand just at the very end, but maybe not. I don't know. Could have been someone else that was dressed like you.
Right.
The staff were excellent, especially with the young kids. They were just bubbling to see the trucks and in the Jeeps and everything else all the equipment you had up there. And they always took their time, and it was so nice to see it. And it was when I got there, I don't know, probably around 11 o'clock, it was unbelievable how many people. The church was filled, the side streets were filled. It was really good. So just please pass along to your staff how great it was.
I will, thank you.
Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks for the presentation and welcome to Moncton.
Councillor Crossman.
Earlier on Heritage Week, U2M and its significance within the city. I'm curious to know, are you going to roll out some sort of battery awareness on campus? Because there are a lot of youth, there's a lot of kids, a lot of foreigners that come in to go to school. So they may not be able to get to a Walmart or to a Home Depot or to a Costco. I'm pretty sure they will, but that's besides the point. So are we looking at something to generate towards informing the students at U2M, not only on batteries, but let's also talk about fire safety while they're in their apartments and homes and things along that line?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Crosman. So absolutely, Division Chief Nolan's been here for 4 weeks, so just getting oriented, but absolutely. So this fire prevention is Fire Prevention Week, but what we want to do is fire prevention all year round. So we want to do as much education as possible. University of Moncton, there's many ways that we can work with them, so we're definitely going to work with them. Maybe not this week, as you can see that they have a full agenda, but in the coming weeks, we'll definitely be working with them.
Okay, good. That'd be great. Great. Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Crossman. I don't see any other questions. Merci à vous.
Thank you.
Merci. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Planning matters, and the first item is an introduction, amendment to previously approved plans at Bateau Street, Harpers Lane, and Main Street. And I see Sarah Anderson is coming to the podium.
Bonsoir, Sarah.
Bonsoir. Right.
Good evening, Sarah. Good evening.
Okay. So the first application, it's an application to amend previously approved plans for the development of land located at Bateau Street, Harpers Lane, and Main Street. The amendment will accommodate proposed changes to the rear portion of the previously approved building. So the subject site is located on the eastern edge of the downtown, and that is in Ward 1. The site has frontage on 3 public streets. That's Main Street to the south, Bateau Street to the west, and Harpers Lane to the north. It's surrounded by a mix of uses. The Staples is to the east and the Superstores to the northeast, and both of these are zoned SC or suburban commercial. To the south across the street are several commercial businesses and strip malls, and those are zoned CBD or Central Business District. To the west is a large vacant lot that's zoned primarily CBD. It does have 2 small sections of land that are zoned UR or urban residential, and the subject site is currently vacant. So in 2023, the landowner successfully rezoned this land for a mixed-use development with a 2-story podium with commercial and restaurant uses facing Main Street. Above the podium was a 30-story residential tower. The rear portion of the building was proposed to be 5 stories with a mix of row houses, residential units on the 4th and 5th floors, and then parking underground and behind the residential units in that 5-story back portion. The image on the right is the previously approved plan and the plan that's currently in place. The image on the left shows the changes that the landowner is currently requesting. So the front portion, as I mentioned, the front portion of the development will remain the same as it was proposed and approved in 2023. However, after 2 years of detailed design, it was determined that the originally proposed mix of uses in that rear portion would not be feasible. It was determined that in order to be able to move forward with the development at all, the rear portion would have to be revised to a single use. And so for this reason, the landowner is requesting to amend that rear portion of the building by changing it to a structured parking garage. The landowner is proposing to remain as consistent as possible with the original built form from 2023. So both sides will have jogs and articulation. It won't be one long blank wall. There will be tinted windows along both sides that face the street, and there's a large bank of windows on the northwestern side. The rear portion also provides a step back after the second floor, so that means that when you're at the street level, The facade will be 2 stories in height, and then the upper 3 floors will be stepped back by 5 meters, so they won't really be visible from the street when you're on the sidewalk. This helps with building massing, and it also helps by reducing shadows on the surrounding streetscape. So as noted, the front portion of the building is proposed to remain as originally proposed and approved. The image on the right shows the building facing Main Street. On the left is the proposed site plan, which again doesn't really change much from the original site plan. One thing to note, though, is that the rear setback facing Harper's Lane will be amended to be 6 meters. In terms of overall change, the number of residential units will now be 273, and that's down from the original 288. And the revised number of parking stalls is 411, and that's up from the original 258. The application does meet many policies of the municipal plan. It helps to increase residential population in the downtown. It helps to reduce surface parking needs by providing underground and structured parking. As noted, again, the original 2023 development has already been approved with the podium and the commercial uses facing Main Street. What is being requested at this time is just to amend that rear portion of the development to house only a parking garage rather than a mixed-use building that was originally proposed. So in terms of a recommendation, administration recommends that Moncton City Council proceed with the zoning bylaw amendment. And number 1, it give first reading to the zoning bylaw amendment Z 222.53, that the bylaw be referred to the Planning Advisory Committee for their written views, and that a public hearing be set for November 3rd, 2025. And the amendment, if approved, should be subject to a resolution with a number of conditions. These are the same conditions that are currently approved for the site. Nothing has changed other than the last condition, which notes that the rear yard setback will remain at 6 meters. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Merci beaucoup, Sarah. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the motion, please? Conseiller Kingston and Conseiller Crossman. C'est beau, merci. Are there questions? Conseiller Léger.
Councillor Léger.
This is just the introduction portion. There'll be a public hearing coming in a future meeting.
I live on the north side.
Yeah, you'll have an opportunity at the public hearing.
Go ahead, Conseiller Léger.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Lordship.
And so on, if it's approved, when the construction would begin?
They would like to start construction now.
Okay.
They would like to get going as soon as possible. They have been working with the building inspection department just to make sure that everything is in order so that if approved, they can start as soon as possible.
In the original zoning application, I remember seeing some composites of the effect it would have on the I guess it must be Harper's and so on.
Yep.
Will those be available for the public hearing in terms of what it's going to look like in terms of the streetscape,
Yes.
shadowing, things along that line? My understanding, you were saying it remains the same height, but it would be nice to be able to see that and address any concerns and things that perhaps are different from this particular application to what we had before.
Sure. Yep. That
Okay.
can be.
Thank you. Merci.
Merci, Conseiller Léger. There are no other questions, so we will go to a vote, which is electronic. And this is where Nick can help me. Voting.
Can we open the voting, please? We can close the voting.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Merci. Thank you. Monsieur le greffier.
Mr. Clerk.
Is a public hearing for rezoning at Grant Street. We have received objections on this item, and there are people who are registered to speak.
So Sarah, should we explain to the public the process that we want to follow? Are you comfortable? I can
Yep.
do it or you can do it, whichever.
Yes, so I'm not sure if I can, but I will present the application.
Yes.
After I present the application, I believe the table opens for questions from council. Once questions have been answered, the floor is open for the applicant to speak if they so wish. After that, any supporters who would like to speak are permitted to, and then after that, any objectors.
Thank you, Sarah.
Welcome.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is an application to rezone PIDs 70505730 on Grant Street from R2 or 2-unit dwelling to P1 community use to permit the development of a purpose-built daycare facility. The new rezoning amendment or a new zoning amendment will apply to the property, and the development will be subject to conditions outlined in a resolution of council. So the subject site is located in the northeastern part of the city, and this is in Ward 4. The surrounding neighborhood is mainly residential in nature. It's comprised of a mix of zones. There are single and 2-unit dwellings to the north, zoned R2, 2-unit dwelling. There are 2- and 3-story apartment buildings to the south and west that are zoned R3 or multiple unit dwelling. Fairview Knoll Park is to the east of the site, and that's zoned P1 community use. And seeing as the proposed development would be serving children ages 10 months to 12 years of age, the development is well located close to several schools, École Le Mascaret, École Le Lycée, and Forest Glen School as well. So this is the site plan. The applicant is proposing a 2.5-story daycare facility. The daycare will accommodate indoor and outdoor space, a surface parking lot, and covered bicycle parking. The daycare will accommodate up to 219 children and 26 staff members. The building is oriented towards Grant Street with pedestrian connections from the sidewalk to the building. And the daycare will be connected to the Fairview Knoll Park on the east by the public sidewalk. The site is currently vacant with existing tree and vegetation coverage along the west and northern property lines, and the applicant is proposing to maintain those trees as much as possible. Additional tree planting is proposed along all property lines, and a 2-meter tall opaque fence will be located along the full length of both sides and along the full length of the back of the site. So here are some renderings of the daycare. This shows what the daycare will conceptually look like. It is important to note that the renderings are conceptual in nature. They were done at the beginning of the application process to basically show what the concept would look like. After provincial standards and municipal requirements were taken into consideration, the design did change somewhat. The roofline was originally going to be flat, but after more detailed review, it was changed to the peaks that we see and not in this slide. Must be the wrong slide, but there are elevation drawings. I believe they're in your package, and that shows what the building will look like. A traffic study was submitted as part of the application. The study indicated that the proposed development is expected to generate 187 morning peak hour trips and 157 afternoon peak hour trips. Analysis for the McLaughlin Drive and Grant Street intersection indicated that at the future 2030 conditions with the current intersection configuration and the current auto usage trends, there would be delays for vehicles turning from Grant Street onto McLaughlin Drive. It is important to note, though, that those delays would occur with or without this proposed development. In order to help mitigate those delays, some lane lines will be painted on Grant Street. They will create a right turning lane, so that should help improve the delays for right turning traffic because they wouldn't then be stuck behind vehicles trying to turn left onto McLaughlin Drive. That lane painting is expected to occur in 2026. In terms of on-street parking, there is currently no parking restriction on Grant Street. Engineering is currently starting the review process for parking restrictions on Grant Street, according to the Traffic and Parking Control Device Policy. There are currently several parking restriction reviews underway, so if changes are needed in this area, that would happen approximately mid-2026. So in terms of objectives, overall, the proposed development does support the long-term vision of the municipal plan. The proposal is located within 300 meters of a public transit stop, making it accessible for staff and families. The proposed daycare provides childcare, which is a desirable community service and a much-needed service in the area. It's an appropriate built form for the area. It's located on a street with sidewalks on one side and direct connection to other community amenities. The design is walkable, it's accessible to public transit, and helps address current childcare needs for the city. So with that, in terms of a recommendation, it is recommended that Moncton City Council approve the proposed zoning amendment, Z 222.52, subject to a resolution with a number of conditions that are located in the package. In terms of, just go through those. In terms of feedback from the public, 4 letters of objection have been submitted and 1 letter of support was submitted. The main points of objection were related to traffic and safety, potential for change of use given the range of uses that are permitted in the P1 zone, fencing and screening, impact on property values, and impact on quality of life due to noise, loss of privacy, and traffic. So I'll go through those objections and responses to them. So in terms of traffic and safety, as noted, a traffic study was submitted as part of the application. I did just go over the results of the traffic study, but it is important to note that those delays that will happen on Grant would occur whether or not this development does go forward. And in order to help mitigate some of those delays, lane lines will be painted on Grant Street to help improve right turning vehicles. Number 2, potential for change of use given the range of uses permitted in the P1 zone. So if approved, the rezoning is tied to this proposed development. The whole lot is tied to this proposal. If approved, council agrees to a resolution that includes a list of conditions, one of which states that the development be in general conformance with the plans submitted. So the bylaw amendment, the resolution of council with the conditions, the site plan, and the elevation drawings all get registered with Service New Brunswick. So if approved, that site is very tied to this proposed application. In order to do something different, the landowner would have to basically go through this process again to change the proposed use. In terms of fencing and screening, the landowner has agreed to construct a 2-meter tall opaque fence along both sides of the building, of the property, and along the entire back, leaving no gaps at all. There are some existing trees in that area, and I know in some cases the trees are a benefit. They will be kept as much as possible. The applicant has even said that they will zigzag the fence in order to save as many trees as possible and still provide that fence. So they're very willing to do what they can to meet the needs and concerns of the neighbors. In terms of impact on property values, a few years ago, staff did speak with representatives from Service New Brunswick to determine how property values are assessed. It was explained that values are based on whether or not people want to live in a neighborhood and how much people are willing to pay to be there. Elements such as well-landscaped yards, houses that are maintained and updated and taken care of, and pride of ownership all increase property values. The proposed daycare will be well cared for and well maintained. And lastly, impact on quality of life due to noise, loss of privacy, and traffic. So the daycare will operate during normal work hours. That would be approximately 7 a.m. until about 5:30 p.m. It will not be open on weekends or evenings. The applicant also has agreed, as mentioned, they will construct a fence along all 3 property lines that abut other properties. So in terms of the letter of support, we did get 1 letter of support. It is from residents who live across from 2 similar large daycares on Ryan Street that are owned by this same operator. They mentioned that they are retired, so they are home throughout the days. They said that the sound of kids laughing and playing is quite pleasant. They commented that there is a little traffic from 7 to 9 in the morning and from 4 to 6 in the afternoon, but the rest of the day and also weekends and holidays, there is no traffic. They have had no problems whatsoever with these businesses. And the applicant, who may or may not want to speak, I'm not sure, but he did submit a letter this afternoon, which I wasn't able to get to council, but did mention that he wants to be a good neighbor. He prides himself on his business. He wants to pass his business down to his children. He owns several other daycares throughout Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe. He has never had any problems or any complaints from any neighbors, but he's definitely open to feedback and working on any concerns that any residents have. He cares deeply about the neighborhoods that they operate in, and he works to ensure that his facilities enhance a neighborhood, not detract from it. He also mentioned, which I thought was kind of interesting, that they have a communication app to coordinate drop-offs and pickups for parents so that there's not a lot of loitering. Parents come in at their designated time, drop off their kids, and away they go. I guess that was it. Just basically that he's looking to be a good neighbor in this situation. And that is it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Is the applicant here, and would you like to speak?
You don't have to.
Okay,
Address any questions that they have, I'll talk, but she covered everything that we're doing.
parfait. Thank you, merci. And do we have speakers that have registered to speak? Do we have a list? Oh, those, we begin with those who support the project, the proponents, right? So is there anyone here who supports the project who would like to speak? And I just want to remind everyone, if you're registered, it's 5 minutes, right? So there's no one.
One of my neighbors, that's right adjacent to me in Moncton, who's actually a city employee with you guys. And
I'm sorry, could you go to the microphone, please? Good evening.
She live? How you doing? Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that he's been my neighbor for the last 8 years. He's built 2 daycares there, and I have no complaints at all with his facility. The garbage is kept clean. The kids, you hear the kids a little bit, but who doesn't like that? It's like I say, it's been 8 years, and traffic, as far as that goes, even that's not really that bad for half an hour, an hour. But yeah, no issues at all. Just the property's kept well, and we're good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can you please state your name for the record?
It's Paul Jeffrey.
Paul Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Thank you. And if there's no one else who supports the project, could we have those who object? And do we have a list?
We do have a list. The first name on my list is André Després. The microphone is adjustable also if you want to pull that down.
Are you able to hear me?
Bonsoir. Good evening.
Thank you. Before I start, I'm respectively asking, I am in a wheelchair and I'm quadriplegic and I have a difficult time turning pages, things of that nature. And I'm asking if the council would politely provide me perhaps another extra 2, 3, 4 minutes to speak past the time if I need. Please, that would be very much appreciated. Maybe you guys be open to a vote on that.
Go ahead, please. No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow councillors, and thank you for allowing me to address you regarding the proposed rezoning at 60 Grant Street. At this point, I'm going to present some various concerns and questions regarding the rezoning proposal. My wife, Terry Lynn here, and I have lived at 105 Fairview Knoll Drive since 1998. Since then, our neighborhood has expanded exponentially, and it is now completely full with residential homes and duplexes to the north of our property. To the west of the property, we have multi-story apartment buildings, and they're both under construction and already built. To the south of our property, there's numerous large multi-unit apartment buildings that Sarah had addressed earlier. In my experience living in the neighborhood since building there in 1998, the population has mostly consisted of students from the university and people working or living in the Elmwood area. Over the past several years, we've experienced a population explosion, as you know, due to immigration, more students, and the addition of a seniors residence on Murphy Avenue. I'm actually quite proud that Moncton has this diversity. However, you may be asking, how does this relate to the rezoning at hand? So let me elaborate on this. If this rezoning is approved, I will have a park in front of my home. We'll have a park in front and behind my home. This is nice in principle, but let me point out some of the following concerns based on my experience from living at 105 Fairview Knoll Drive across from Fairview Knoll Park. So please consider these issues that have occurred in the past in our park when you debate and vote on this plan. Incidents and concerns. We had a high-speed police chase through the park last year that ended in the police taking down a perpetrator at gunpoint. We had the destruction and burning down of a newly constructed park and a gazebo. Ongoing defacing graffiti in the park, including lewd images, anti-Semitic and racist graffiti on the play structures and the walkways. We have very early morning and overnight loitering and drug dealing. We've discovered that is discovery of various drug paraphernalia, including spent needles and glass pipes. There was a stabbing there last year in the park, and the victim ended up bleeding out on my neighbor Jake Desprez's porch, who lives beside me. Loud noise, yelling, and music in the park and parking lot during early mornings and late nights.
Monsieur Desprez, may I ask a question, please?
Sure,
What
absolutely.
does this have to do with the daycare? Can you
I'm
just?
going to
Okay.
get to that, ma'am.
C'est
Thank
beau.
you.
Merci.
Speeding into the park and parking lot, I witnessed car driving very fast down the road on the Hennessy into the parking lot, and it flew in there. Vehicles, four-wheelers, motorcycles doing donuts in the park day and night. People now hang out on my lawn, including adults and children. Numerous assaults and fights involving both adults and adolescents. Frequent hangouts by students from Odyssey High School, and I've witnessed student brawl at the park, break and enter into our garage, frequent break-ins into vehicles, smashed windows, slashed tires, objects such as rocks, paint, and pop cans thrown at our home. Fireworks fired directly at my home. Our home was pepper sprayed with paintballs one night. A group of kids came to our window. They looked in and made a gun gesture with their hands pointing at me. A homeless gentleman lived under the gazebo for almost a year and was finally removed by police. Homeless individuals living in the trees beside the park, and our neighbor's car was stolen out of his driveway. Now to address what you indicated, Madam Mayor, we already have a park in front of us. If this is approved, we will now have a park behind us, and I'm telling you, this is going to happen. I don't think these types of incidents will happen just in front of us. They're going to happen behind us in the new proposed park. This could and likely will be a potential nightmare for the property owner, Mr. LeBlanc, and as well as us residents along Fairview Knoll Drive. We need to feel safe and secure, and this is a top priority. I don't want to sound very hyperbolic, but or like I'm making things up. I'm not just worried about the possibility that these things are going to happen. They are going to happen. The increased urban sprawl in this rapidly developing area is already causing issues. The proposed development is being placed in an area that is, in my opinion, a different quote-unquote animal than the other areas where the developer currently operates daycares, for the reasons already mentioned. As you can see, I'm in a wheelchair. I have a wife, I have twin daughters, and my service dog, Bailey. I get scared. I can't defend my family like the average person. The general growth in the city is growing and expanding at a very high rate. We're expanding and experience a building boom, as you know. I'm proud to live in Moncton, and it's exciting to see this growth. However, park's going to be placed in a dense urban residential and commercial area. We have high traffic during the morning and evening rush hours on Elmwood, McLaughlin, Hennessy, and Morton Avenue. I'm also very concerned about children playing in this neighborhood. Someone's going to get killed or injured. I say this because children are everywhere. They're on scooters, they're on bikes, or they're just walking. Many of them do not wear helmets, and they show little respect for traffic rules. We have a young boy who lives up the road from us. He's in a wheelchair. I see him coming up the road to play. As a wheelchair user myself, I'm really concerned for that young boy. And I want to make sure that his family feels safe as well. With respect to recommendations, if this rezoning goes through, I'd like to recommend the following be done and voted on. Security cameras in the play park behind my home. Ample lighting in the play park across from and behind my home where the daycare and play area are proposed. I'd like to propose a fence along the southern portion of Grant Street from east to west, facing the sidewalk along Grant Street. So essentially fencing the entire proposed daycare site, north, south, east, and west. Speed signage at Fairview Knoll Drive to reduce speed, perhaps flashing lights or even speed bumps. A recommendation for regular maintenance of the fence and trees around the proposed daycare and park that are going to be planted and installed. I'm very worried about the security in this area. Video cameras only work so much. As you're aware, these perpetrators often wear hoodies and masks, and it's making it impossible to identify them. In closing, I have one other thing. I would like to see an increased police presence, more than there is now. I've called police on numerous occasions. They're busy, they don't show up. Even the park police, sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. I'd like to see an increased presence of at least them when I call, to more frequent drive-bys by these individuals and/or bylaws officers. In conclusion, if the rezoning goes through, and I will not support it without the additional recommendations that I've just outlined in this presentation. I really thank you for your time and the extra time you've given me to speak.
Merci, Monsieur Després.
Merci beaucoup.
So, is there anyone else registered?
Yes, yes,
Let me
there are.
get a few.
Guy Chamberlain? Is there?
Bonsoir, Monsieur Chamberlain. Go ahead.
Good evening. I actually have 2 points. First, I would have a question for Mrs. Anderson. When she mentioned that the vocation of the lot could not be changed, I realized that it would have to stay as a daycare. But would it be possible to double the size of it, or would it be possible to, expand the place without coming back in front of the city council?
So we will answer your question.
Okay.
Go ahead, and then Sarah will answer your question.
My second point is with the value of the property.
Go ahead.
I did probably the same type of research that Mrs. Anderson did. I did an AI search. I got the same result of what she read. But with all due respect, I dig a bit further and I found other information on there's a lot of information on the internet, and I found a website from the Century 21 and Remax that state the opposite, that state that any business, any noise source do actually affect the value of a property. So basically, I do not agree with the fact that that will not affect the value of our property. That's basically all I had to say.
Est-ce que c'est tous vos questions là?
Oui.
Are those all your questions? Yes, okay, thank you. So we'll hear the next person and then we'll come back to give you your answers.
Julie Fournier?
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Madame la Mairesse. Bonsoir.
Good evening. Good evening, councillors. I live on Fairview Knoll at number 87, just 3 houses down. I'm Guy's neighbor. The point I'd like to raise this evening is more on the issue of safety. This zone is one in which there's a lot of traffic, especially at traffic hours, before school starts, at the end of the school day, the normal working hours at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and 4 to 5 in the afternoon. I work downtown, so I drive in every morning. I have to cross McLaughlin. I turn left onto the turn left on McLaughlin. There's a lot of traffic there because I go downtown, and I must admit to you that every morning I cross from Hennessy, so I have to turn left, and every morning I'm worried because there's a lot of dense traffic. There's the school buses, there's city buses. These are all very large vehicles, and they prevent us from seeing the traffic coming. So every morning I have to go through there. And when I found out about this project, I thought that this would increase the traffic at rush hour. We have students who are on foot. We have these new scooters that go by very quickly. We have the school children waiting for the buses, and citizens who are waiting for the public bus. So I was worried. I know that Sarah mentioned that there had been a traffic study done, but I didn't quite understand where this study, where it looked at and what the results were. I understood about McLaughlin and Grant, but there's also Hennessy. And then if you look at a map, around this project, you have Elmwood and Morton as well. So these are all big, busy corridors. And they go to, well, they are arteries, main arteries, and they're very busy morning and at the end of the working day. So that's what concerns me. And perhaps, you just explained how you conducted the traffic study or how you assessed the safety of the citizens who live in the neighborhood. But I didn't quite understand what the solution will be. You said that maybe there'd be a lane for right turning vehicles, but I didn't understand for the left turning vehicles. And also in the other arteries that I just mentioned. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fournier. Thank you.
All the objectors that we have. So Sarah, do you want to come up and address the concerns of the speakers, please?
All right. In terms of the, Mr. Chamberlain's questions, in terms of can they expand? So the condition that is associated with the development is that it be in general conformance with the plan submitted. So potentially a small addition potentially could be approved, but any changes that would have an impact on the neighborhood, that would definitely have to come back through council. What is being approved today is 216 kids, I believe, 219 children. And so that's already a pretty substantial daycare. Any more than that, that would accommodate more children would come back to council, because that would be that would have an increase or a change in the neighborhood. In terms of the property values, I'm not a property assessor. I did speak to someone, it was a number of years ago now. AI wasn't really in existence at the time. So things may have changed, but that was essentially what I was told, was property values are assessed based on if people want to live in that neighborhood. I have heard in other areas that daycares enhance the value of a neighborhood, because it means that it's walkable and parents can walk their kids to daycares, or their kids after school can get to the daycare easily. But that's something I've heard. I can't confirm that is true or not necessarily. In terms of the questions on traffic, I may let Radia speak to some of those, but I would say that, well, I'll let Radia speak to those, if that's okay.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir, Madame Mayoress.
Good evening, Your Worship.
To Fairview Knoll itself, a rectangular rapid flash beacons were added to the crosswalk on Fairview Knoll because it is right in the bend of the street, so it was added. So there was that safety device added I believe within the last couple of years. In terms of if any of the streets would require speed bumps or other traffic calming measures, we have a traffic calming policy, and any resident is free at any time to request that they be assessed. We get about 70 assessments per year, so we have to go through the procedure of assessing each street to make sure that traffic calming resources are distributed appropriately. With respect to general congestion on Elmwood Drive and McLaughlin Drive, the city is wrapping up a corridor study for Elmwood Drive and McLaughlin Drive. We are currently targeting bringing it to council, the final, hopefully next month. We did a public engagement on the study in May, and the study had similar results for the McLaughlin Grant Street intersection as what was shown in the traffic study for this project, and the traffic study for this project used different scenarios that were from that corridor study. So it is, yes, it's kind of falling in line with other work that we have done in the area, and again, to address because of the congestion on McLaughlin Drive. So there are long-term, there are short-term, the very short term of traffic signals were installed on Leopold Bellevaux at Leopold Bellevaux McLaughlin Drive intersection. So there are the studies when they're presented in final, they have short-term, medium-term, long-term recommendations. Of course, each has a capital investment to it, so that's why we can't do everything at once. And then I can't really say too much on the other thing I picked up one is e-scooters, and I believe there is a bylaw about e-scooters, and of course we are always looking at improving safety for children getting to school using non-auto modes. So I think it's something, I guess, to look at in general in terms of if there is some sort of education component we can work with the schools on e-scooters or other devices. I think that was that all the I think that was most of the traffic comments. Oh, right turn lane. Oh, on Grand Street. Yes. So as Sarah mentioned, so the recommendation to paint, and it would be within the existing width of Grand Street. We think that we can just squeeze in the painting for right turn lane and left turn lane and an incoming lane. It doesn't. You still have a delay turning left, but then it is just, as Sarah mentioned, to allow the right turn vehicles to go without having to wait for the left turn vehicles. And the study did assess whether traffic signals were warranted or justified based on Transportation Association of Canada guidelines, and they were not either in the traffic impact study or in the Elmwood Drive, McLaughlin Drive corridor study. So that's kind of where we're kind of going to a lower cost alternative that's easy to implement.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sarah, do you have something to add?
I did. I realized there's a couple other things I could comment on that commented on by Mr. Dupre at the beginning. He had asked for security cameras on the building. That is definitely something that the landowner is proposing to do. I'm not sure exactly where the cameras would be, but he is proposing some security cameras. Pardon me? It'll cover all the outside area. The open park area on the side.
All my property will be covered.
Oh. So, Monsieur Leblanc, est-ce que vous voulez aller au micro, s'il vous plaît, pour des...
Mr. Leblanc, would you like to go to the mic? It will be easier to provide your explanations there. Désolé. Oui, on pourrait installer des caméras sur l'ensemble de la propriété. Moi, je ne veux pas que des intrus viennent sur la propriété non plus. Il y a des vandales, etc., qui fréquentent ces lieux depuis un certain temps. Je ne veux pas qu'on nuise à ces installations. Il y a eu du personnel d'autres garderies qui pourraient être embauchés ici. Bon, pour le stationnement après les heures, il n'y a pas de panneau pour interdire les gens d'y passer, mais on ne veut pas qu'il y ait d'auto, on ne veut pas qu'il y ait d'intrus non plus. On va s'assurer que cela soit le cas. Nous avons dû faire beaucoup de demandes dans ce quartier pour la création d'une garderie. Il n'y a pas eu vraiment de solution idéale jusqu'à maintenant. Donc, ce serait bien pour que ces enfants aient accès à cette garderie. En plus, c'est un quartier où les revenus moyens sont un peu plus faibles. Donc, mes garderies sont toujours très bien. Et on va avoir un parc, celle-ci va être bien gérée. L'étude d'impact de la circulation, à chaque fois que on fait un compte, c'est les allers et retours. Donc, en fait, une voiture est comptée 2 fois. Donc, lorsqu'on en dénombre 150, en fait, c'est probablement juste 75 véhicules. Moi, je suis sur Ryan. Nous avons environ 400 enfants à ce niveau-là et il n'y a aucun problème au niveau de la circulation. Moi, je suis allé sur ce terrain plus d'une centaine de fois et je ne vais jamais de ce côté. Les parents ne vont pas aller de ce côté-là. Ils vont pas se stationner là-bas. Il y a des gens qui vont venir à pied, qui vont venir en vélo, couper à travers le parc, mais il n'y a personne qui va se stationner à cet endroit-là. Les gens vont utiliser la rue Grand pour quitter les lieux et ensuite la circulation se répartira pour quitter ce quartier. Bon, elle connaît la circulation mieux que moi, je ne crois pas que ce sera un problème. Le bruit non plus ne sera pas un problème. Il y aura une petite zone pour les bébés et les enfants de 2 ans à gauche du stationnement. Les 3 et 4 ans se trouveraient derrière la maison du monsieur qui a pris la parole tout à l'heure. La journée, ils sortent quelques heures. Euh, ils sortent à 4 heures, donc c'est assez limité. On ne veut pas qu'il y ait de congestion. Les parents peuvent ramasser leurs enfants très rapidement. Et si les parents veulent parler à mon personnel, ils le font en utilisant notre appli ou pendant la journée, lorsque les enfants font leur sieste, etc. Donc, les enfants vont venir chercher leurs enfants et les enseignants partent à 16h30. Donc, les parents ne restent pas sur les lieux pour discuter avec les enseignants ou le personnel en dehors des heures de ramassage. Donc, c'est sûr qu'il y aura un certain niveau de bruit, mais nous aurons le parc juste à côté. Peut-être qu'on pourrait installer un abri s'il y a des vols de jouets, etc. Et toutes les jouets ne sont jamais volés ou ne disparaissent pas. Il n'y a jamais eu de bruit. Il n'y a personne les fins de semaine, personne le soir. Donc, pas un bruit le soir de la part des enfants, c'est quand même bien. Moi, je ne vois pas où est le problème.
Just a moment, I'm new to planning. Donc, est-ce que je demande s'il y a des gens qui s'objectent ou qui vont?
Could I ask if anybody's objecting?
Thank you so much. Donc, merci,
my
Monsieur
pleasure.
Leblanc.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leblanc. Mr. Després, would you like to speak?
Just, there's 2 items. I want to add a rebuttal to this lady here, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry, talking about these flashing signs along Fairview Knoll, or sorry, flashing lights to slow down traffic in the crowd. They're there and the traffic is insane. People drive like maniacs. I've seen it. I almost been hit. I've seen 3 kids almost get hit by a car. Someone's going to get killed on Fairview Knoll. They're going to get killed, and it's on the city. And with respect to Mr. LeBlanc here, we're willing to work with Mr. LeBlanc, absolutely. It's not the day. We have kids that play there. I live there. I've been living there for 28 years. It's the night. The night is hell. It is hell. What we've been through over the last 28 years at night is just unbelievable. I mentioned some of it in my discussion with you tonight. If it's not completely fenced in, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. You're going to find homeless, needles, everything in there. But I just want to know that Mr. LeBlanc knows it. We're willing to work with him and be good neighbors, but it's not the day, it's the night.
Okay. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur
Merci
Després.
beaucoup.
Donc, Sarah?
Thank you very much.
I guess in terms of activity in the evenings or at night, I would say police. In terms of planning, I'm not sure how much I can respond to that, but I would say, I mean, noise bylaws is in effect. I guess contact the police.
C'est beau, Sarah. Merci. So now we would go to council. So are there any questions? Conseiller, Conseiller Richard, oui. Mais si vous...
Councilor Richard, so please indicate your lights when you want to have the floor. Can you see it now? Okay, do I have the floor now? Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Mysterio.
Great discussions. You mentioned the no parking signs in the presentation. Around the corner, Joyce and Grant, that 90-degree corner is going to be covered with no parking signs?
I will let Radia respond.
Hi, Radia.
Hello, Councillor Richard through the mayoress. Sure, we can include that area. We do find a lot of areas where there is a bend in the street. We will end up putting no parking signs because of the visibility and maneuverability through the curves.
Because it's already an issue now with people going to the park or, just sitting around there. So with the added traffic going to the, I know he has parking on his lot, but if there's a spot on the side of the street right in front, where do you think they're going to park, right? So that one, and also the corner of Grant and McLaughlin with the added paintings, lines, the intersection at McLaughlin. Could that be looked at as well for some no parking?
Oh, yes, we would look at that. Yeah. We would look at near the intersection for no parking.
And since you're there, as Andre was speaking about the speed, Fairview Knoll coming down, I appreciate the lights at the crosswalk immensely. Fairview Knoll is coming down a hill and it's a long stretch. By the time you get to the bottom, speed is a problem. So if that's something that you can, if engineering can look back at that, or if I believe it's in your department as well.
Sure, we can do a traffic calming review for Fairview Knoll, and if we haven't already, and we can share the results with you and the resident if we have their. I think Sarah has their contact information. Then we can. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. So that's okay there. I've got a different traffic going into Fairview Knoll Park. Drop-offs, pickups, parking there just for the. I saw you shake your head. I know.
I was told when I did the application, you cannot use that parking lot for anything. You keep your parents out of it.
So I understand.
Monsieur Leblanc.
I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Leblanc, you need to speak to the mic.
Forward this and improve it and be supportive of it. The park was off limits. None of my parents can park in there. They can walk through with their bikes if they're coming from the Fairview Knolls end and stuff. But
my question wasn't to you. Sorry, my question wasn't to you.
Oh, okay.
My question was going to be to staff. Sorry. How can we be watching that? How are we going to be putting no parking signs for his daycare? Is there a way to, we can't have bylaw watching for cars parking there for pickups, drop-offs? How can we?
Well,
that-
it's, I mean, it is how it is in the rest of the city is in terms of if we go through the process, if we put up the parking restrictions, then if there are issues, we bring bylaw in at certain times. Usually we know what times the issues are occurring. People get warnings or tickets. It deters them from doing it in the future. So it's just how we have to.
And I
proceed with
appreciate that. That's great clarification. That's what I needed. I'll pick on Sarah now, I guess. Just wondering, on the plans that were submitted to us, it goes with a 1.5 to 2 meter opaque fence. Can we remove the 1.5 and make it a 2 meter fence on both sides and the back?
Yes, the zoning bylaws calls for 1.5 to 2 meters, which is why that was written on the plan itself. But the conditions themselves say 2 meter.
Okay.
So if approved, the resolution would specify 2 meter. That would trump what is written on the plan.
I appreciate your clarification. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Conseiller Richard, Conseiller Butler.
Thank you, Councillor Richard. Councillor Butler.
Toronto Maple Leafs, way to go, buddy. Yeah. So, Mr. Dupree, when I was listening, I hear you loud and clear about the park and, you know, the vandalism and things like that. And that's why I'm glad that Mr. Preston is here tonight, who's our contact for the RCMP and also in charge of community safety officers. And I'm sure that, you know, this is something that's come up before that Councillor Richard has brought up, especially about your park and the issues you've had over there. So I think maybe it's time that, you know, from listening to, you know, sometimes when you bring one topic, you hear another one too. So I think it's time that Mr. Preston, maybe you can contact the RCMP and have a sit down and maybe even have a meeting with the neighborhood over there about this. Also, I must say that when Mr. LeBlanc was going to build the same daycares up on the Ryan Road in our ward, there was a lot of the same questions about the noise, the traffic. And at that time, Ryan wasn't finished the way it is now. It was quite rural. But I have to say is that I can say one thing is that he does work with the community. Anytime we've had an issue, he's been able to be contacted and worked on it together. And I think that's the big thing. And one of the things that I do find is that in our area, also the northwest end is really growing too, and very fast. And I find that it's a welcome thing now when we hear that there's a daycare going up there, that the parents don't have to drive all over one side of the city to get to kids and then can drive all the way back to another side. So there is some benefits. And I just spoke to a family over the weekend that just moved into the area in the northwest in my riding. And one of the things they talked about is one of the reasons why they bought their house was because of the daycare being so close, that they could just park their car and actually walk and get their child. So there are pros and cons to it, but you know, I think overall, I think as long as everybody can work together, I think this will be a very successful moment for Fairview Knoll down the road. Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Butler. Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Sarah, thank you for.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Crossman.
Apologize for having the monitor moved. I couldn't see you, so I really wanted this. I wanted to see your face, so I asked for it. So thank you for that. Sarah, the overall project, number one factor here is public safety for the youth, which I can appreciate and understand. But when we get to the end of Granite at McLaughlin, a comment was made earlier where a pocket lane will be put in to turn right so that they can go north on McLaughlin, and left lane will go south on McLaughlin, we'll say. As I look at Google Maps and in and around the area, I live off Elmwood, so going through the area, there's a crosswalk on McLaughlin right before Grant, which would limit left-hand turns from Grant getting up McLaughlin or coming south to the situation that the lady expressed where it takes forever to turn left off of Grant to get onto McLaughlin. I see Radia's getting up. So I think my only question on this whole project is there some way we can look at moving that crosswalk from where it exists now to the other side of Grant, allowing traffic more freedom to turn left to come south down McLaughlin? Just throwing it out there as I see it.
So, Councillor Crossman through the Maris. The Elmwood Drive, McLaughlin Drive corridor study actually recommended that as well as narrowing the crossing, just like kind of putting bump outs to narrow the crosswalk distance. It did recommend crosswalk improvements there. At this point, it's a little bit more involved because the Rapid Flash now have concrete bases and aluminum poles. So it's not planned, but it is I think it's in the short-term improvements of the Elmwood Drive, McLaughlin Drive corridor study.
That's the reason I bring it up. I understand that Grant comes out and meets McLaughlin. You can go another way through Joyce as well and all that, but I'm just thinking to alleviate the pressure onto McLaughlin turning left, if that light was on the other side, you know, when somebody gets there, a pedestrian gets there for crosswalk, because there's 7 condo buildings or apartment buildings within that area, and the majority seem to be on the left side of Grant as you're going down. So it would be more feasible for people to stay on that side of the street crossing McLaughlin. That's the reason why I brought it up. So if you say it is part of that study, I look forward to seeing the study. So thank you, Your Worship. That's all.
Merci, Conseiller Crossman, Conseiller Léger.
Thank you, Councillor Crossman. Councillor Lejeune. Thank you, Your Worship.
Was addressed, but if we're looking at so many people who are going to drop off their children, I was surprised that the site plan didn't account and make it so that you would drop your kids off and then you would do a complete turn and out again. You know, so what I'm seeing here is, now granted, I heard that there's a strategy for dropping off the kids at different times, but I'm just wondering in terms of the just safety and just the congestion and so on.
In my experience, most kids need to be taken out of car seats, and so parents have to park in order to be able to get them into the daycare. So dropping off is really only okay when kids kind of get older.
Okay, so most of the parking then we're seeing is really for drop off and pickup purposes, and not so much for staff, because that's sort of where you're not familiar enough with the daycare system. So I'm just sort of wondering, a lot of parking spots, so I'm just...
Well, parking spots, some of the staff have cars and stuff, but a lot of our staff are newcomers and stuff, and they're really using our great bus system and everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they have to drop they park the car, they get the kids out of the seat, and they bring them in. They all come at different times, and teachers can't be waiting. During COVID, we did that. They did a loop in. We had a person there, don't get out of your car, we'll take your child, we'll bring them in. And everything, but now the parents bring the child into the daycare, and it's all the preschool. The after school only show up on 3 buses, right? My bus and 2 city buses, they get dropped off all at one big lump sum. They go inside, have their snacks, and then we go outside and play after. We do an inside activity, then we'll go out after that. So the day drop-offs and everything, the parking lot, there's no congestion at all, because they start at 7 o'clock in the morning and they stop at 9 or 9:30. Just coming, a car here, a car there, and everything. So
Okay, and is this a similar setup that you have with your other daycares?
Yes, yeah, all same parking. Yes,
all the same type of parking system. Okay, and just a question about I really liked the first look of your building.
Yes,
much more modern than the second drawings that we have. You know, with the different sloped roofs now and so on.
Okay. The right-hand side still has that. We want to give it elevations to it and everything.
Yeah.
The only thing that changed after the picture that they show at the top instead of the final project is there was from the basement up until the second floor, there's a 20-foot room in there where we're going to put the slide and kind of like a McDonald's play park and everything.
Yes.
But when the province looked at it and stuff, they said, JP, we're not going to count any of that space as play space for children. So then I was down to 200 kids. So I was paying $100,000 for this added thing. Now I'm losing $100,000 income a year off of having it. It just didn't work out. So we ended up, so that big window that you see there is now going to be 2 big windows. There's going to be a floor in between it.
Can
Okay.
you picture what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
It's no
okay.
longer one 18-foot high room.
Right, there'd be a
It-
floor in between.
it turned into space to sell,
Okay.
to have the,
And is that the color scheme that you're looking at?
it's gonna be something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be
Okay.
Greg, you probably know Greg Cormier, Superstructures. He designs all my buildings. We want them to fit into the neighborhood. We don't want it to look that it doesn't belong there or anything. So we're gonna make sure it fits in and it's done well.
And what about planting in the front and so on?
Well, we have the minimum that we have to put trees every so often and everything. We're gonna
Right.
do all that, but then until the fencing's in and everything's done, then we'll say, okay, let's do some landscaping. We'll put more black mulch or whatever it is, but that's after the fact, once we get all our play areas in and everything, so.
And you plan to build immediately, I guess? And
We're gonna break ground as soon as I can get
when you get approval. Okay.
We're gonna be in by next September.
Okay. And the garbage bin that's in the corner, does it, and maybe a question to Sarah, does it require to be fenced in or is
If
that
it's-
just depicting the location on our?
Whatever the specs are, it'll be done, like it's,
All right.
whatever the.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for the cooperation, and I think, we certainly need to address the park issues. But I think your daycare could be a very much added amenity to the whole area in the sense of really, bringing a different.
We're gonna have instead of being a vacant lot behind their house, they're gonna have a monitored lot that I don't want anyone on my property. So I'll be there if they start coming and stuff, I'll be there within a half an hour or 15 minutes if my staff go over. And I'll be real nice to the kids. Hey guys, you can't be here. There's no trespassing sign and everything. And I got a good way with kids and youth and stuff. I'll be able to handle this.
And maybe some of your cameras pointed towards the park.
Towards the park, I'd like to
That
know
would
what's
be
going on over
helpful.
there.
Could be helpful for us as well.
If you need it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Merci, Conseiller Légère, Conseiller Richard.
Oui, c'était une question que
Thank you, Councillor Leger. Councillor Richard, yeah, it was a question that was asked by Mr. Détré.
that wasn't,
Typically, we don't fence the front, the sides because they abut other people's properties. Those are requirements. In terms of fencing the front, I leave it, it's a provincially licensed facility, so I'm not sure if it's not something that we require. And we don't typically like to see fences along the sidewalk. It kind of takes away that eyes on the street component.
because I understand the whole front, how it would look. The open side on the open park on the east side, I know that was a spot where Andre had some concern. I don't know if the developer would look at maybe boxing that in on the east side
Sidewalk?
between your building and the park.
Well, that is
Fairview Knoll
boxed.
Park.
The park, that whole wall is a fence and it continues.
The front side.
The front side. If my neighbors, I'll give you my phone number when I leave and stuff. If we have anything there, I just think if I put the fence there, we got the easement already, and then it's gonna have to be back so far. I'm gonna lose a lot of the usable space in the front, depending on the setbacks for the fencing and stuff. I don't know what they are. It wasn't in the plans. But if I'm getting a lot of people in there, my stuff's getting destroyed, I might be coming asking for a variance. Hey, can I put a fence here and stuff? It helps them, it helps me and everything.
That's fair.
Anytime I drive through, it's during the day. The neighborhood looks great. I haven't seen any of this stuff they go through at night. I feel bad for them and everything. But whatever we have to do to secure the property and keep my neighbors happy and keep their property safe as well, we're all going to be one big neighborhood. Like we're all.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up since I didn't hear anything back and forth on
With
that.
the fence there, they can still walk down to the end of the building, go in the parking lot, and make their way back. And then they're still fenced. Like, I can't fence off everything.
No.
But if I see any traffic going in there after hours and not obeying my
You
no
might want
trespassing
it
sign,
yourself.
I'm gonna rope off the front and just put a little padlock, and my staff will unlock it and stuff. I don't want anyone on my properties after hours ever.
Yeah.
So.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's great. Merci.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. There are no other questions.
Thank you, Councillor Richard.
Is there anyone else? And I go to council for the decision. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? But please bring something new to the conversation. Donc, il n'y a rien. Merci. I will now, oh, you wish to speak? Please go to the mic. Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Liz. I live in the neighborhood. I have two questions. One for the builder. In recent months, we heard the news where a car barreled into a daycare, killed some children. Would it be possible, because you don't have a fence at the front of your property, would it be possible to have either decorative stainless steel posts or cement concrete posts to avoid anybody from driving into the building?
I think the way that, you have another question, then I'll get out.
Yeah, the other question is for the city, because there are city bus stops like very near there. And I'm sure that a lot of parents or students are going to be taking the bus off and on. I've taken the bus occasionally, and I noticed that at the bus stop, there's the street, there's the curb, and there's the sidewalk. But between the sidewalk and the curb, on a rainy day, is just pure mud. On those areas where there's going to be a lot of people taking the bus, would it not be to everybody's benefit to have either a cement pad so people that are waiting for the bus are not standing on the lawn that's pure mess, pure mud?
Thank you for the questions. Sarah, can you address those questions, please, with regards to the bus stop?
I might ask Radia to address those.
Oh, okay. Merci.
Yes, and that might be a separate request. It would have to go to Angela Len, our Director of Kodiak Transpo. From what I understand, that in certain spots, for example, at University Avenue, they've added concrete pads at very high utilized bus stops. I mean, I think the only issue is that sometimes there's a hesitancy to make the investment if they're unsure if that is going to continue to be a bus stop. And of course, they are working through, I don't believe it's finalized yet, the transit growth strategy. So that would also identify amenities for different transit stops, especially high use stops, and also their kind of level of service that they should have. But I mean, you would like me to forward that to okay, sure, I can forward that to the Director of
So
Kodiak
you will
Transpo.
ensure the follow-up. Thank you. The other question was on the fence.
Yes, I never heard about that car hitting a daycare, but the only place that they'd get enough speed to ramp would be coming down Joyce Street and would hit the fence behind his backyard. There's no building at that end coming straight down Joyce. The other end of the building is all 2 7/8 galvanized commercial fence posts in the ground with the commercial fencing on it and stuff. That's going to slow down any car before it hits the building. I hate to see any kids in the fenced area, but we can only protect as much as we can. Like that's something that we would never foresee, and putting cement barriers all around the place to look like Iraq or something's not gonna fly with Sarah, I know.
Thank you so much. I will now declare the public hearing closed, and we do have a motion. So could I have a mover and a seconder for the motion, please? Conseiller Richard and Conseiller Regid, do you wish to second? C'est beau. Donc, are there any more questions? Any other questions? I see none, so we will go to the vote.
We can close the voting.
Merci, thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. Merci à tous.
Okay, the next item is another public hearing for rezoning at 215 McLaughlin Drive. We've only received one piece of correspondence on this file. It was neutral. There are no registered speakers, and Sarah Anderson is here to make a presentation on behalf of administration.
Hello again.
Bonsoir, Sarah.
So this is another application. It's to rezone 215 McLaughlin Drive and 138 Redmond Street from R3, multiple unit dwelling, to NC, neighborhood convenience, and that is to permit a specialty grocery store. So the subject site is located in the northeastern part of the city, and this is in Ward 4. The site is surrounded by a vibrant mixed use, it's located in a vibrant mixed use part of the city. Surrounding land uses are a mix of zones. We've got R2, 2-unit dwelling. We've got R3, multiple unit dwelling. NC, neighborhood convenience, is located to the south, and SC, suburban commercial, is located to the northwest. The proposal is to consolidate the two properties that are outlined here in red to create one lot for the proposed specialty grocery store. So the lot at the intersection of McLaughlin Drive and Redmond Street currently has one single unit home on it. The second lot is currently vacant. The applicant is proposing to add a single-story addition to the back of the existing residential home to accommodate the specialty grocery store. The parking lot on the east side will accommodate 8 parking spaces accessed via Redmond Street. A fence will be provided along the eastern property line, and that will be to screen the parking lot from the abutting residential property. The pedestrian entrance is from the main door facing McLaughlin Drive. There is a walkway that connects the parking lot at the back to the main entrance at the front. In this location, McLaughlin Drive is classified as an arterial road, and it has sidewalks on both sides. The site is accessible by public transit, and it's close to many high-density residential developments, as well as other amenities and services in the area. It is very accessible by non-auto modes as well. The applicant has completed a traffic impact statement to accompany the development plans. The statement indicated that anticipated traffic generated by the development has less than 100 peak hour trips. There are no sight line issues along this section of Redmond Street, and the proposed driveway is located over 40 meters from the intersection of Redmond Street and McLaughlin Drive. For these reasons, no concerns were raised regarding traffic impacts. In terms of on-street parking, there are currently no parking restrictions on Redmond Street. Engineering is currently starting the review process for parking restrictions on Redmond Street according to the Traffic and Parking Control Device Policy. There are currently several other parking restriction reviews underway, so if any changes are required in this area, this would occur likely sort of mid-2026. So these show renderings of what the building will look like. The siding will be fiber cement board, which is commonly found throughout the neighborhood, and it is considered to be a traditional material. There are many windows facing both public streets, so McLaughlin Drive, which is the top image on this slide, and Redmond Street, which is the third image down. The property will be landscaped, and many of the existing trees on the site will be maintained, or as many of them will be maintained as possible. So in terms of objectives, the site is designated as neighborhood, or NH, in the municipal plan. The application supports the municipal plan's vision by promoting growth and enhancing the neighborhood with an amenity while satisfying neighborhood policies by having it be located on a major corridor. It is serviced by public transit and active transportation. It's in proximity to, and it provides a neighborhood service and amenity, and the development contributes to an attractive and pedestrian-oriented development. So with that, in terms of a recommendation, it is recommended that Moncton City Council approve the proposed zoning amendment, being Z 222.51, subject to a resolution with a number of conditions that are included in the package. In terms of feedback from the public, as noted, one resident did submit comments about traffic concerns. They noted they were neutral about the rezoning application. We also got a letter from the resident who lives directly to the east, requesting that the recommended condition regarding the fence on that west side of the parking lot be made official. They're, as I mentioned, they're the owners of the lot next door, and they would prefer to see the parking lot screened. So administration did respond that if approved, that condition would become, that recommended condition would become a formal condition, and that would be registered with the rezoning and would be a requirement of the rezoning. And with that.
Thank you, Sarah. Is the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
Yes. do they wish to speak?
I think just to answer questions.
Just to answer questions.
Yeah.
C'est beau.
Yeah.
So we have no objectors?
No.
And is there any proponents, people who support the project who wish to speak? No, you're making this too easy. I like it when it's complicated. Easier to follow. So there are no. Vous voulez parler, Monsieur Richard? Oui, allez-y.
Would you like to speak, Councillor Richard? Go ahead.
We mentioned the mature trees. There's no official plan or how to protect which trees will be protected, or there's nothing we can.
The trees are, for the most part, they're along the side facing Elmwood Drive, and then
McLaughlin, yep.
and then the south side, which faces the existing building to the south. The addition is on the east side, so no, there's not much chance that those trees they won't need to be touched because the construction won't really be on that side. So there is a condition that they are to protect and maintain them as much as possible during the construction.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. You talked about the traffic restrictions, no parking signs basically on Redmond, close to McLaughlin. I would hope that we go from west to east, so from McLaughlin going up Redmond up to at least that driveway that they're going to be going into the property, so that nobody's just parking on the side of the street to go into the store. At least it pushes them away from the intersection.
Right.
And I would suggest the same thing on the opposite side of the street. Same lengths, just to be safe.
Fair enough. Those are definitely noted by our traffic engineer.
Thumbs up. Right on. Thank you very much.
Merci, Councillor Richard. There are no other questions from council. I will now declare the public hearing closed. We have a motion. Councillor Richard, you wish to move, and Councillor Radjet, you wish to second. C'est beau, merci. Any questions on the motion? No? So we will go to the vote.
We can close the voting.
Merci. A motion carried unanimously. Merci. Monsieur le greffier.
Merci. And the next item is a subdivision for Vaughan Heights, and I believe Paul Edgar will speak to this item.
Bonsoir, Paul.
Bonsoir. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Administration has received an application from 760478 NB Inc. for the Vaughan Heights subdivision. The subject property is located in Ward 3 on the north side of Charles Lutz Road, approximately 1.2 kilometers from Mountain Road. The Crystal Springs subdivision, located directly to the west of the area outlined in red, has been in place for several years. That has one connection coming out from there, Pleasant View, which will hit the new subdivision. The closest bus route to this area is back out on Mountain Road. However, the transit growth strategy expected to include a recommendation to add Ryan Street service within the next several years. As well of note, the Northrop Fry School, a K-4 French English immersion school, is located approximately 1.4 kilometers from the new proposed subdivision on Ryan Street. Current zoning is R2, 2-unit dwelling. The purpose of the tentative subdivision plan is to create new residential lots, land for public purposes, and the following street right-of-ways: Pleasant View, Pearl, Quarry, Jazz, Pink, Eloise, and Chocolat. As well, lot 24-1000 will be created for stormwater detention purposes. And of course, along every street, there will be a 5-meter public utility easement for MB Power and Bell Alliant and Rogers. The tentative subdivision plan is creating 108 large residential lots. By large, we mean the minimum size of these lots is 720 square meters each. With that, with the 4 units as of right initiative, each of these lots could contain up to 4 units on them, thus bringing the overall density of the subdivision to 432 units, providing a much-needed missing middle housing options for the future residents of Moncton. This is a could and may not happen. It all depends on what the residents there want to do. Staff from Parks, Engineering, and Planning and Development collaborated to identify an optimal site for the proposed LFPP. This site is not only substantial in size, but is also strategically located in a position next to the lands that have potential for future development. These adjacent lands will allow the possibility of further expanding the park, creating a much larger area for recreation space in the future. On the aspect of LFPP, the landowner is donating 12,891 square meters of land towards it. This exceeds the 10% requirement by 48.5 square meters. With respect to street construction, Pleasant View and Quarry Avenue will be built in urban collector minor street classification. It'll have sidewalk on one side, multi-purpose trail on the other, while Pearl, Jazz, and Eloise Avenues will be built in urban collector minor street classification with sidewalk only on one side. Pink Street, named on behalf of breast cancer awareness, will be built in urban collector minor street classification with sidewalk on both sides. The reason we're putting it here is because it fronts on the LFPP, so we want people to be able to access it easily. Chocolate Court will be built in urban local minor street classification without any sidewalk. Traffic study as for all brand new Greenlands subdivisions was created for this area. The recommendations from the study include a westbound left turn lane on Charles Lutz Road at the Ryan Street intersection. This can be accommodated well within the existing back-to-back curb of the existing street, just with line paintings. As well, the study recommends the extension of the active transportation facilities along Charles Lutz Road west of Ryan Street. To this means the proposed subdivision accounts for 36% of the future traffic in the area at full build-out. And it is therefore recommended that the developer contribute an equivalent cost towards the active transportation improvements along Charles Lutz Road. So for the recommendations, the Planning Advisory Committee recommends that Moncton City Council assent to the extension of New Pleasant View Street, assent to the creation of Avenue Pearl Avenue, assent to the creation of Avenue Quarry Avenue, assent to the creation of Avenue Jazz Avenue, assent to the creation of Rue Pink Street, assent to the creation of Avenue Eloise Avenue, assent to the creation of Chocolate Court, assent to the location of the land for public purposes, and assent to the location of Lot 25, 1000 for stormwater detention purposes. Subject to the following conditions: that the developer enters into a contribution agreement with the city to contribute to the cost of active transportation improvements along the Charles Lutz corridor, and that streets and services are to be designed and acceptable to the engineering department, constructed in accordance with the subdivision development procedure standards and guidelines. Thank you. Any questions?
Merci beaucoup, Paul. So we have a motion. Conseiller Steve, do you wish to move? And Conseiller Butler, second?
Yeah, but I have a question.
Question. So go ahead with the question. Conseiller Butler.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. A couple things. We're having issues out there. I get calls all the time in regards to the traffic on Charles Lutz now, especially since there's big trucks. There's a couple of businesses at the end with gravel trucks driving in and out. So the plan for Charles Lutz down the road, because if this builds out totally, there's a lot of traffic coming there. So what's the future look for Charles Lutz Road?
I'll turn it over to Evadia.
All righty.
Hello, Councillor Butler through the mayor. So the plan is to reconstruct Charles Lutz Road. It would not be any more travel lanes. It would probably be like a 10.5 meter width, so be one through lane in each direction, maybe allow for turning lanes at major intersections. But it is currently, I believe it's currently a rural standard, so it is within our Capital Works program to reconstruct Charles Lutz, and that's why we're only requesting the contribution for the active transportation component. So the study would have looked at and would have used the same models that were developed for the draft North End transportation plan, accounting for all the approved development in the North End, a high level of development, and it did not recommend any changes at the Mountain Road Charles Lutz intersection, just the turning lane as Paul had mentioned.
Okay, well, thank you for that. It's great to see that we're thinking ahead and that we're going to be doing something there to make it a little bit better for traffic. The second thing is Mr. Edgar, has anybody contacted NB Power in regards to this subdivision? And tell you why is that the last time that we spoke regards to any big development up in that area, they were saying that they were at their limit. They were going to have to put something new over it. Maybe somebody here already knows it and had worked or does work. I don't know for MB Power, but that they need to put more into the substation on Charles Lutz because of the power drag.
Right, so in every subdivision process that we go through where they're creating subdivisions on lots that have not had easements, we always contact MB Power. Our main contact is Francine. She then filters that out to her working group, and they would come back with any concerns or questions, or yeah, everything's good here. We never heard anything to the like of that for that area.
Okay, so in my last one, and I was talking to Elaine beforehand, and you probably might know this was coming, but right after the Zach Road, Pleasant Street comes down into Crystal Springs. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So we have two jurisdictions there as far as plowing.
Yep.
So when you go into, when you come off of the new subdivision into the old subdivision on Pleasant, it's across from the Zach Road, but you're also into Crystal Springs, and that becomes the province of New Brunswick authority. They do all the plowing, the salting, the cleaning of the ditch. Well, I won't say they do the cleaning of the ditches. Let's say they're supposed to clean the ditches, they're supposed to salt, and sometimes they forget to plow. But with that being said, they're coming from ours into theirs. Have we spoken to the province of New Brunswick so they know that there could be more traffic on like Pleasant Street coming through?
This would have been sent to definitely the school boards. Just check my notes here on the others.
Well, you can get back to me. These are just things that I came up with when I looked at it. It's, you know, we have some problems that Councillor Steves and I out there, we're always having to call the province on their number to find out if they're going to remember to plow and also salt and to clean. So you're coming from our jurisdiction into the provincial jurisdiction. I would just like to, and the people will want to know that's living out there.
Yeah, generally, I mean, when I was in engineering, we had reciprocal right-of-way agreements for snow plowing and maintenance and stuff like that. So I helped look after all of that and all the new streets that went in. These streets here and so DTI and Public Works Group would end up getting together to figure out who is best to plow this area. I would think that with the amount of new streets coming in here, we're likely going to end up possibly plowing Crystal Springs. But again, that's for them to work out in the future.
Yeah, I don't think that's, right now, I think, and I'll leave it to the CAO to maybe answer this, but because I know this file so well, because Councillor Steves and I get so many calls that they forget about it, is that we have an agreement that since we've amalgamated into the area, these residents, but the provincial government, if I'm not wrong, is supposed to still clean the ditches, clean the roads, salt the roads. Doesn't always happen. So if we're putting more traffic on Pleasant coming out, if they come out Crystal Springs, it could be an issue. That's all I'm saying. You're going from one to the other. I'm just, maybe it's something that maybe Elaine can talk with her counterpart in Fredericton and find out, you know, where we're at with this.
We can definitely find out for sure. Yeah, there's definite phasing that has to occur here, working with the fire department. They got to come in off of Charles Lutz Road first, then connect to Pleasant View to get that second way out. Then they can start working eastward.
Sure. Yep.
So, but yeah, no, we can definitely.
Just something for a thought. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. We do have, if there are no other questions, we do have a motion, so we can go to the vote.
Can close the voting.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci. Monsieur le greffier.
The next portion of the agenda is statements by members of council. Is exposé des membres du conseil.
Est-ce qu'il y a des commentaires? Non, il n'y a pas de commentaires.
Are there any statements this evening? No? Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
First are from our private session of September the 8th, 2025. First item is that Moncton City Council approve the recommendations for accounts receivable write-offs in the amount of $141,714.60. Background on this item: administration reviews the City of Moncton's accounts receivable listing annually and, if required, identifies invoices being recommended for approval to be cleared if deemed uncollectible for various reasons.
Merci. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this motion? Conseiller Leblanc, Conseiller Adjut, merci. Are there any questions on this? No, il n'y a pas de questions. So we will go to the vote.
We can close the voting.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
And the next item, that Moncton City Council direct administration to undertake the subdivision of PIDs 00747741 and 00754465 to create 10 building lots, and following subdivision to issue a request for development proposals from affordable housing developers in accordance with the disposition and acquisition of municipal land policy, and allocate 2 of the building lots to Habitat for Humanity. The background on this item: the above noted properties were declared surplus for the purposes of affordable housing. An expression of interest was issued to nonprofit housing partners within the community. Habitat for Humanity was one of several respondents who expressed interest in developing affordable housing on surplus city-owned land in Moncton. This subdivision enables a mix of housing units across 10 lots, with 2 lots identified for stacked semi-detached housing that fit the Habitat for Humanity housing model, and the remaining 8 lots able to accommodate up to 4 units, enabling a total of up to 40 affordable housing units. This scenario also provides 1,341 square meters of public amenity space.
Merci. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this? Conseiller Kingston, Conseiller Leblanc, merci. Are there any questions? Oh, Conseiller Richard.
Merci, Maire Asterio. Not sure who's, oh, Josh is making his way. Going over. Where we mentioned the expression of interest that was issued to nonprofit housing partners, and Habitat for Humanity was one of the several respondents. Just to be transparent and no disrespect to Habitat for Humanity, do you mind explaining to the public just how that was chosen over other nonprofits?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've worked through the disposition policy and having a look at how Habitat for Humanity's affordable model operates. They typically have a model where they actually sell their property, hold the mortgage with the individuals that are purchasing the property, which is different than what our definition of affordable housing would be under the disposition of surplus lands. So the disposition of surplus land definition falls more under nonprofits that own and operate in perpetuity their units. So effectively their rentals. So we felt that in this example, in low suburban development areas with lower densities, that this would be a good opportunity for the city to potentially partner with Habitat for Humanity, knowing that they would struggle in going through the process for the other remaining lots, based on the way that the policy is written today. Because the policy it's just in terms of how that nonprofit operates its housing model compared to the conventional ones who will build, rent, and operate theirs in perpetuity. So it's just differentiating between the two, knowing that it's a need and it's a rare opportunity for the city to have affordable ownership, while also mixing in affordable rentals as per the policy as well.
Thank you for the explanation.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. Any other question? If not, merci, Josh. We will go to the vote.
We can close the voting.
Merci. Motion carried unanimously. Merci. Monsieur le greffier.
The next portion are the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole meeting of September 22nd. First item, that Moncton City Council at its Committee of the Whole meeting of September 22nd is recommending the following. Number one, that Moncton City Council adopt the Climate Change Adaptation Plan and direct administration to bring forward recommended actions for Council's consideration as part of the budgetary process. Background on this item. In 2010, the cities of Moncton and Dieppe and the town of Riverview participated in a regional adaptation collaborative program developed to identify and reduce the impacts posed by climate change. A technical study carried out by AMEC at that time included floodplain mapping and recommended flood mitigation measures. The city subsequently developed and adopted a climate change adaptation and flood management strategy in 2013. Emerging changes to the climate continue to pose risks to the community, creating a need for an updated strategy. In 2024, administration secured funding from the New Brunswick Environmental Trust Fund to engage a consultant to update the 2013 strategy. Pursuant to the requirements of the ETF, a steering committee was established and a proposed new plan has been developed. Public engagement was also conducted through an online survey on Let's Chat from September 23rd to October 4th, 2024. Numerous respondents cited concerns about extreme heat, windstorms, hurricanes, and air pollution from wildfire smoke. While flooding remains a concern, it was not identified as the most significant issue. City Council is being asked to adopt the updated climate adaptation plan to allow administration to present recommendations for consideration during the budget process.
Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this? Conseiller Jacques, Conseiller Leblanc? C'est bon. Yes. Any questions? There are no questions, so we will go to the vote.
We can close the voting.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next item, that Moncton City Council approve the sidewalk snow clearing plan for 2025-2026. Background, each year administration undertakes a review of requests to change the sidewalk snow removal plan for the next snow season. In 2023, Council directed that criteria be updated to prioritize sidewalk snow clearing within 0.5 kilometers of all K-8 schools, including sidewalks by transit stops. The existing service covers 65% of the city's sidewalk network. While no new additions are contemplated for 2025-2026, adjustments to the serviced side of certain streets were made to the plan to improve access to bus stops, totaling 3.8 kilometers. Additionally, 15.7 kilometers of requests for expanded service were received but couldn't be considered.
Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the motion, please? Conseiller Kingston, Conseiller Redjet. C'est bon, merci. So any questions? Oh, Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Alexon, I guess, through the city manager. The last sentence says, additionally, 15.7 kilometers of requests for expansion were received but could not be considered. The reason that they could not be considered or they were not considered?
Thank you for the question. The team reviews all requests, but as stated, we didn't have any additional capacity to expand the plan.
So it is additional capacity that will not allow? And
Yeah.
this will come forward in the budgetary process so that council can make a decision on expanding that?
Council will have an opportunity to add capacity during the budget cycle.
During the budget cycle?
It would have the ability to do so.
Okay, good. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, we'll go to the vote.
You can close the vote.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next item, that Moncton City Council approve in principle the fees and charges per the attached schedules to be utilized in the preparation of the 2026 proposed operating budget. Background, on an annual basis as part of the budget process, City Council is requested to approve the proposed fees and charges to be included in the calculation of revenue from its own sources for the city within the budget. The information contained in the schedules forming the fees and charges details to the budget also serve to amend and update the schedules attached to the fees and charges bylaw following budget deliberations.
Merci. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Could I have a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Léger, Conseiller Crossman, seconded. Donc, any questions? Oh, c'est beau, Conseiller Léger.
Merci, Madame la Maire. A quick question regarding
Thank you, Your Worship.
as mentioned in the committee of the whole, will those fees for fire alarm calls be brought forward during the budget deliberation?
Thank you, Your Worship. To Conseiller Léger, yes, we can bring some information regarding that during the council deliberation.
And it could, and if council wishes, it could be adopted
right,
during
yes.
the budget proposal.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Merci.
Merci. Any other questions? If not, we will go to the vote.
You can close the vote.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci. Monsieur le greffier.
And the final item, that City Council desires to implement and adopt a crime reduction and prevention plan and establish a committee of council to draft a proposal for council's consideration within 6 months. The background on this item, council discussed the issue of implementing a committee consisting of several councilors to develop a plan as to how to better address the issue of crime prevention in the city of Moncton. The CAO agreed to work with Councillor Bourgeois to develop the scope and scale of such a committee.
Thank you. Conseiller Butler, do you wish to move that recommendation? Seconded by Conseiller Léger. C'est beau. Okay. Any questions on this? No? Pas de questions? So we will go to the.
There being no question.
Can we have the vote for this item? Oh, okay, this item was added, it was added late, so I think we'll have to do a show of hands.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Merci. Monsieur le greffier.
Okay, moving on to reports from administration. We have one item. It is tender TCS 25-038, snow removal for downtown parking lots. And the recommendation is as follows, that Moncton City Council approve administration's recommendation to award tender number TCS 25-038, snow removal downtown parking lots to the lowest bidder meeting all terms, conditions, and specifications of the tender, being Signature Landscape Limited, for a 12-month period with options to renew the agreement for up to 2 additional 12-month periods at a total estimated cost of $607,423.76, including HST at 15% over a 3-year period.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Could have a mover and a seconder, please. Conseiller Butler and Conseiller Kingston. Are there any questions? No questions. We will go to, Conseiller Butler.
Thank you. It's just to Jock. Jock, when it says that it can be renewed for 12 months or 2 years, does that mean, do they have to come back with a new price or they have to stay with that price?
Thank you, Your Worship, to Councilor Butler. The way it works is in their bid, they've already submitted what that inflationary price would be for the year 2 and year 3.
Well, we don't see that here. You have that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
So you have it for the 2nd year and the 3rd year if needed.
that's right. And but the 607,423 that you see there with HST includes those 2 additional years.
Okay, so that 607, you divide that by 3 then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Conseiller Butler. There are no other questions. We will go to the vote.
We can close the vote.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Monsieur le greffier.
Okay, moving on to reading of bylaws. First item 11.1. Council has already given me authority for first reading. A bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.53, Bateau Street, Harpers Lane, and Main Street. This is the first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z 222.53, rue Bateau, ruelle Harpers et rue Main. C'est la première lecture.
Merci. There are no motions, so.
Item 11.2, I'll need a motion from council to give second and third readings.
So could I have Conseiller Richard, Conseiller Steves? So on the question, any questions on this? No? We'll go to the vote. No?
I think that's a verbal for the second reading.
Okay, c'est beau.
So it's a show of hands vote for the second reading.
Okay. Perdu-moi là. Motion carried. Merci.
Okay. A bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.52, Grant Street Daycare, the second reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z 222.52, garderie sur la rue Grant. C'est la deuxième lecture. I'll need a motion from council for third reading, and this will be an electronic vote.
So Conseiller Richard et Conseillère Adjet. Merci. We will go to then electronic voting.
Can we open the voting? Thank you. We can close the voting.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
This is third reading of a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.52, Grant Street Daycare. This is third reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z 222.52, garderie sur la rue Grant. C'est la troisième lecture.
So I need a move. Do I need a move?
That was it.
C'est bon.
C'est tout. Item 11.3, I'll need council approval to give second reading. That'll be a show of hands vote.
So I need a.
Mover and
I
seconder,
need
yes.
a seconder, donc. C'est qui là? Conseiller Richard, Conseiller Steves. Bon, merci.
This is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.51, 215 McLaughlin Drive, second reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z 222.51, 215 Promenade McLaughlin. C'est la deuxième lecture. I'll need approval from council by electronic voting to give third reading. Yeah, we need a mover and a seconder for third reading. Okay.
So moved by Conseiller
Think about that.
Conseiller Richard et Conseiller Adjet. C'est bon, merci.
Can we open the voting electronically? We can close the voting.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
This is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.51 for 215 McLaughlin Drive. This is third reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z 222.51, 215 Promenade McLaughlin. C'est la troisième lecture.
We will go.
Those are, no, that's it. We're done.
That's it? Okay.
Wait.
C'est bon.
And the next item on the agenda is notices of motions and resolutions. We have one resolution for the Capital Borrowing Board application for financing. I won't read the entire item because it's been circulated in writing to council, but the main resolution is resolved that the clerk and/or treasurer and/or mayor be authorized to issue and sell to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation a municipality of Moncton debenture in the principal amount of $20,744,000 on such terms and conditions as are recommended by the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation, and be it resolved that the municipality of Moncton agree to issue post-dated checks payable to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation as and when they are requested in payment of principal and interest charges on the above debenture.
Merci. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Richard, Conseiller Kingston. Any questions? No questions, we will go to the vote, which is electronic.
We can close the voting.
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Item 13 on the agenda, appointments to committees, nomination à des comités. Il y a rien. And
There being none,
Merci.
merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
thank you, everyone.